Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a
Good,
nice surprise, huh?
good morning. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. This is the day that the Lord has made, and want to let everybody know, no, the rapture has not happened. The rapture has not happened. I know y'all probably come on and say, man, Pastor and First Lady not on, and I hope if the rapture came, y'all wouldn't be seeing me either. But for those that don't know us, I'm Brother James, and this is Sister Tamicka.
Good morning.
And God has allowed us to step in this morning, giving our pastor and first lady some much needed rest. But I believe, and probably wouldn't be surprised to see them tune in this morning. But God is good, and He's worthy to be praised. And we're just going to take our time this morning and be ourselves and kind of just go over some of the things that God has allowed us to hear over the last 30 or so days of this pandemic or shut-in that we have been dealing with. Hopefully y'all can hear us. Please let us know if y'all can hear us, because this is our first time doing it like this here.
We normally come in a much calmer atmosphere with some exercise or something.
What's up, Candace Marie Stewart?
Hey, Candace.
Sister Connie. I got my glasses on right now. I'm going to be popping them off in a minute because I can't do what I do. Sister Phyllis, what's up, chick?
Good morning.
God is good. And like I said, we're going to take our time, give a little time for people to come in. I want to once again thank everybody for supporting Acts Ministries. Not just Acts Ministry, but just supporting even our pastor and first lady. They have been pushing very hard. And we just kind of honor the privilege to give our spiritual mother and father some rest this morning. And just do what we can to help lighten that burden on them. It's good to know that you have parents that are so concerned about their children that they're willing to go the extra mile and extra step to make sure that we are informed, empowered, and acknowledged and receive knowledge during a specific time. This has been difficult for a lot of people. Some has been relaxing. Some they have been dealing with a lot of anxiety. I know with us here at the house, we had to go from cooking almost every day, more groceries, doing homework and working with Connor. And I'm like, my goodness, he asked me to help him with some math, and it's been a long time since I did division without a calculator. So I had to struggle with some stuff there. So this has been a very trying time, but it's also been a time for us to reflect. And what Pastor and First Lady have been talking about a lot of is the spirit of fear. And that's what we're going to kind of touch on today. They ended up talking about Gideon. And I'm going to let them pick that back up. We're just going to kind of give an overview of some of the things that have touched us during this time. Because I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not dealing with fear. I'm not dealing with that. But take a close look, and you might be dealing with some fear somewhere.
We all deal with fear.
Somewhere. It might not be the fear that you see in others, but the Bible lets us know it's not wise we compare ourselves amongst others. We got to compare ourselves with the Word of God.
Amen. I was saying we all deal with some kind of fear. It's an innate feeling for us. It alerts us. Fear alerts us of danger. So it's natural for us to feel some kind of fear. It tells us to either fight or flight. So we're going to let James get ready to get started on today's topic.
Today's topic. And we're going to go back. The one of the original scripture they started out with was came out of 2 Timothy 1:6-7. It says, wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of God, which is in thee by the putting on of hands. For my God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And one thing, like I say, we want to look at is just identifying areas of your life that have been affected or areas of your life where fear can step in. And Sister Tamicka kind of did a little overview of a few things, because Pastor them started this back when they started this.
I want to say March 21st.
Yeah, it's been
somewhere around there.
It's been over a month, and it's a reason why God has been pouring into us over and over again fear. Fear. He's been speaking to us directly. And I had to take a look at James, a man I think that's strong sometimes, ex-Marine, you know, and I sometimes, you know, I think with this big head of mine, I think I got it all together, but I had to look and say, wait a minute, there's some areas of fear that have shaped my life that I need to go back and look at again.
And then it's kind of natural too, because we're on shaky grounds right now. It's some places, this is somewhere that no one, well, I can say I have never been before. And to see the things that are occurring and to hear everything that's going on, people dying, people sick and on ventilators and in the hospitals, not being able to see your loved ones in the hospital. We just experienced my aunt, a very close aunt of mine, passing. And we had to take shifts and going in to the hospital to see her. And when she passed, when we took her off the ventilator, only 5 of us could go. And that was a hard choice to try to choose who could go and see. And so this is shaky time. Only so many people could come to the funeral because of the social distancing. But I mean, it's a scary time, but it can be also a blessed time because God is saying something to us, and it's up to you to sit down and listen to what God is saying to us. And some of the topics that just a few of them, not very many of them, that Pastor and First Lady have been going over. March 24th, they talked about fighting against hidden fears. And they were talking about Abraham and Sarah, and it was undetected fears.
That's good. Undetected fears. I like that. Undetected fears.
And March 22nd, fear can be the root of envy, jealousy, and lies. Fear can cause a lot of issues, take you down some roads you have never been. And April 17th, they talked about fearful and afraid to try again. And that's a lot of where, I know that's some fears that I have faced before. You know, once I got shut down, it was like, you know what, I'm not doing that no more.
And when First Lady, when she named that one, it just jumped out to me. I think Pastor said, what we going to call this one today, First Lady? And she said, fearful and afraid to try again. And that one kind of hit me because there's some areas in my life that, you know, when you thought you had it all together and you thought you was going to, it kind of choking me up, but you thought you was going to maneuver through that thing. And yeah, and you have to fight within yourself. Dig deep down within yourself and start over. Start over knowing the pain of the failure. And that one thing right there kind of just hit me, you know. So go on, girl, because you're about to make me cry.
But stepping out when it's, you know, fearful and afraid to try again, that's a natural fear. Because knowing that I have put myself out there once and opened up myself to whatever it is, to love, to be a good friend, to whatever it is, I put myself out there and I was defiled or what's the word I want to use? You know,
abused
or whatever it was.
Misunderstood,
manipulated, or whatever it was. I'm not out to put myself out there that quick again. So there's a fear in going back and trying to be a good friend again. Mm-hmm. There's a fear of going back and trying to love that same person again.
Mm-hmm. There's a fear even in if you have failed a test. And we have some people that are right on, they like so many hours of getting their degree. And they have failed, and the fear of going back again to get it. And I'm speaking to somebody right now. You're right there. And you had time to think about it. You done wasted money. You done wasted time. And you will never feel complete until you finish that thing. So you have to sometimes gird up the loins of your mind. Get yourself back out there and fight through it. Fight through it. You know, Tamicka tell me don't hit the table because I'm bouncing the thing. But I feel this morning because it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. And we're going to get into it. We like to say, once again, I'm Brother James. This is Sister Tamicka. We're standing in on our mother and father, behalf in the gospel, Pastor Stewart and First Lady Stewart. We stand in on their behalf this morning, and we're excited about what God is doing in the Acts Ministries. And we thank everybody for tuning in. I see you. I can't read everything 'cause I got my bifocals on, so I'm trying to focus in on that thing. So Tamicka can probably see a little better than me and can kind of get some shots out. But identifying your fears.
And don't forget to share the video, this message as well, because we want to make sure we keep sharing this message, keep sharing Acts Ministries to the world, because we have a word.
Got a word. We have a word. And like I said, with identifying and facing your fears, identifying and facing areas of your life where fear has affected. And one thing I want to look at, in order for us to move through this life that God has allowed us to be in, and during this time, you gotta face some stuff. You gotta face some fears. You gotta face some obstacles. But one thing Pastor told us a long time ago: obstacle, miracle. So I'm not worried about the obstacle. I'm just waiting on my miracle. So I'm not gonna let fear keep me from facing the obstacle. So we look at, you gotta move through it. You gotta move through it. And sometimes we spend so much time and effort running around trying to hide and avoid fear. There's too much energy and time. What Sweet Brown say? Ain't nobody got time for that. I got to face some stuff so I can get to it, because I looked at myself. I'm 52 years old. I have lived longer than I have left on this earth. So I don't have time to be wasting running from some stuff. I got to get what God has for me. In order for me to do that, I got to overcome some areas of my life that have been fearful. And the fear, sometimes it numbs us. It pushes us away. It causes us to act a certain way that's not us. And we have done this. Some of us have years of hidden fear inside of us, and we learn how to operate with it.
Yeah.
Operate with it. We operate with that hidden fear, and you never become what God called you to be, because you cannot be who God called you to be operating with fear.
That's right. What about a broken bone? You know, you broke a bone and you're afraid to go to the hospital, but throughout the years, that bone has healed crooked. And in order to fix that bone, what has to happen?
Ooh.
It has to be broken again.
It has to be broken again. And that's powerful there. You know, that's powerful, because you have been operating with that bone that didn't heal properly. It didn't heal properly. And so you have put on a mask or disguise, because fear can masquerade itself, and you can cover it up real good. And you learn how to operate with it like that for so long, but you cannot reach your full potential. And it seems like when those bones, stuff like that heal wrong, when they start messing with you the worst is when you get older.
Right.
When you get to a point where you have enough knowledge and you have enough wisdom, but now you can't do it because you're dealing with pains. You're dealing with fears. You're dealing with hurts. You're dealing with past stuff.
Because you never fixed it.
Because you never got healed from it. Man, you never got healed. So fear can masquerade itself. And what's one of them things of masqueration? Give me that.
Hide. Disguising.
And let me tell you something. And I'm looking in that camera right now. We as saints of God, we do a good job of hiding and masquerading and covering up. Right. And sometimes we have a good reason for doing that, you know, because we've been hurt. And Tamicka was dealing with that broken bone. And when she said that, it took me to Jeremiah, I want to say 18, somewhere around, I think it's 18, where he told Jeremiah to go down to the potter's house. And he said, go down to the potter's house, and I'm going to show you a vessel that was marred in the hands. It was on the wheel, but it was marred in the hands of the potter. And what he was simply saying, it was broken. I was messed up. It was shaped wrong in the hands of the potter. And some of us have been hurt in a place where we were supposed to be getting healed. Right. Some of us got hurt. I got hurt even deeper in a place where we're supposed to be healed. And it's funny, we can see that you have people that go to the doctor and they turn around and suing for malpractice. They suing for malpractice at the doctor.
Malpractice.
Malpractice, that's what it is.
Yeah.
She gonna help me out. I'm bad with words, but y'all know what I'm saying. For malpractice. And then we come to the church, a place where it's full of people with issues.
Right.
And you get hurt. You get wounded. You get marred in a place of healing. And now I'm struggling. And I got a fear of releasing myself in a place of healing. See, a doctor can't really help you until you tell him what's wrong. You go to the hospital, and if you got a problem that's going on in your head, and there's a fear, I don't want to tell them that my head is hurting because they might tell me something I don't want to hear. So you tell them I don't know, but they can't really help you. And this is what we have done a lot of in the church.
One thing about when you masquerade, when you hide, you become somebody that you're not. You're not who that person, who God has created you to be. You create a person. I'm trying to, when he was talking about that, I can remember a time where coming to church. This was years ago, okay. But coming to church, and I was leave out of the church, right after church, sit in the car and wait for hours because he was sitting in there running his mouth, which is fine. And I didn't have a problem with it. But because I was afraid to show the person that I really was, right. I would hide in the car. Because I didn't want people to see my past failures, not knowing that they couldn't see who I was. Right. Couldn't see through the flesh, couldn't see everything that I had gone through, the things, the hurt and the pains that I was feeling on the inside. I didn't know that, no one else could see it. But to me, I was exposed. I was naked before everyone. So, masquerading and hiding, I thought that was really good to bring out.
And one thing you got to realize, we're talking about overcoming years and patterns of staying trapped in areas of fear. I'm going to say it again. We're talking about overcoming years and patterns we have developed because of fear. And the thing we got to realize, this is where we need a transformation.
Right.
We need a transformation when you realize this. You got to identify it first, and then you say, I got to change. Because that's all the transformation is. I got to change. And one thing Pastor keeps saying, I'm not coming out of this the way I went in. I got to change. There's some areas in my life that I got to get better. I got to get stronger. I got to get wiser. And I got to face some fears in order to do that. I got to do it. Transformation. And the Bible tells us in the book of Romans chapter 12, verse 2. You got that, baby? Or do I need to get it?
I got it.
Okay.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
And a transformation, and this can be a powerful and fearful thing to transform, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, because that's where fear comes in first. It comes in and starts dealing with our mind, and then, like Tamicka said, now I'm hiding, and I'm never able to become who I want to be. I never able to become that person that God has called me to be. And in one word, she hit me with this one when it comes to transform, and our transformation was what? Transform
means to make a thorough or dramatic change in the form or appearance.
Yeah, and one thing she would say was like renovate. And she started telling me about when we were doing our kitchen. We were doing our kitchen, and kind of hit on that a little bit, if you don't mind.
Okay, so to renew, that's what he got the renovate from. When you renew, the Greek word for renew is anakinosis, which means to renovate. And when I got to thinking about to renovate, we were redoing our kitchen, and he was ripping the floor up, and to find only another vinyl floor. And after he ripped that vinyl floor up, we found another vinyl floor up under that. And I was just like, man, he started ripping it up and we saw another one. So it was like 3 or 4 layers of the vinyl on the floor when we were redoing it. And I was like, it's almost easier to just tear out the whole floor and redo it.
Yeah, and when she said that, something leaped in my spirit. She said, when you pulled off one layer, there was another layer. And we pulled off another layer, there was another layer. And we had to ask ourselves, how many layers? How many layers of masquerading or covering have we done? And this can get real scary or fearful. I pull this up because each layer brings back a memory.
Mm-hmm.
A hurt, a pain. Because I covered it up for a reason. I covered it up because I didn't like it. I covered it up because it was too painful for me to deal with.
I didn't want anybody to see it.
I didn't want anybody to see
touch it.
And you pull that one layer back. And because the whole thing is now I'm trying to identify and be healed. So I pull one layer back and there's another layer. I pull another layer back and there's another layer. And I pull and there's another layer. And now my mind, I'm trying to renew my mind. I'm trying to transform my mind, but I got to deal with some stuff. And like she's talking about earlier with that brokenness. Now I got to re-break this thing. And the question I asked her, I said, how do we get to a point of healing? How do we get to a point of wholeness? How do we get to a point of identifying and moving past our fears when there's wounds in the way?
Our transformation occurs when our mind undergoes a renovation. We got to renovate our mind. And how do we renovate our mind? It happens when someone,
It's wounds. I want to hit that. There's wounds in the way.
I don't know. How do we renovate our mind?
It's how do we do it when there's wounds, when there's pains, when there's scars, when there's wounds of addiction, wounds of molestation, wounds of being abandoned, wounds that father deficiency, wounds of death, these wounds. How do we get? Because I had to ask myself, and when I asked her, and I said, "Whoa!" I had to walk away for a minute, and then tears began to fall in my eyes because I'm a man, and most time we look at wounds in a woman, but I had some wounds. I had some deep rooted hurts and pains and scars that I was afraid to face. And on yesterday, I'm gonna be honest with you, on yesterday, after service was over with, oh my goodness, it hit me then. And I had to get to the altar. I had to get to the altar and lay on the altar to deal with some of these fears that I had to get to a place where I'm trying to be whole. I'm trying to be made whole. I'm trying to be healed and recognizing and identifying those fears. And let me tell you something. I'm talking to every brother out there right now, because a lot of times we see the wounds in our women, but that's some wounds as men that we have. And a lot of times you see it in our anger. You see it, because daddy wasn't there. I've been trying and I can't deal with some stuff. And these wounds can be deep. And we blow up, we abandon, we run away. We do some stuff that's not even us. And now we're defined by our character, and that ain't even us. That's not us. So the question we asked each other was, how do we renovate when there's wounds in the way? And the scripture just jumped out to me. And in Isaiah 53, it said, but he was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. But then I looked at it in the New Living Translation. It said, but he was pierced for our rebellion. He was crushed for our sins. He was beaten so we could be whole. I'm going to say it again. He was beaten so we could be whole.
Wow. And
then it said he was whipped that we could be healed. And let me tell you something. Overcoming our fears, only way to overcome our fears is we got to face them. And this could be scary. It could be painful. It could almost be to a place where it could be traumatic. It could be traumatic even facing some of these fears. And I had to keep asking myself, why is Pastor and First Lady spending so much time on fear, and it hit me. It hit me because most of us have areas in our life God wants us to be free from, but we are shaped and molded by fear.
Right. I was going back to renovation. When you renovate a building, a house, a room, or whatever it is, some things have to happen depending on what kind of renovation you want to see or happen. If you want a total renovation,
right,
you're tearing out walls.
Right.
What you call it? The sheetrock. You're tearing out the sheetrock on the walls, and all you see is the beams that's holding up that's separating the rooms from each other. So that happens when it comes to renovating the mind. Some stuff you have to tear down. You have to tear it all the way down so that you can see the bare minimum of what it is, of what's there. So how do I transform my mind? How do I renovate my mind? I feel like you have to start thinking about something different.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah.
You gotta, Bible says,
change your mindset.
Change your mindset. The Bible says, think on these things.
Mm-hmm. And that's Philippians 4:6-8, and it's around 4:6. It says, finally, my brethren, where is it at? Finally, my brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are a good report. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise,
right,
think on these things. So I have to start feeding my spirit with positive thoughts. And I can't be afraid. I am the head and not the tail. I am the lender and not the borrower. I am above and not beneath. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Even weapons I have allowed to get in my spirit.
Right.
I got to push that stuff back out the way. And the only way to do it, I got to face it. You got to face that thing. I don't know what it... You got to face it. I'm talking to somebody this morning. You got to face it. I know it's painful. I know it hurts you. I know you're fearful. I know you feel like I don't want to deal with it anymore. I done had this conversation with them, those people 5 or 6 times. I'm not having that conversation anymore. But God says, do you want to be made whole? He asked the question, do you want to be... Stop making excuses. Do you want to be made whole? Well, if you want to be made whole, like he told him, take up your bed and walk. What he's simply saying, take up your fear, bring it to the altar, because the altar is a place for dead things. I don't want to deal with that right now. Y'all make me preach this morning because I feel these things. We got to feed ourselves with positive thoughts. You got to meditate. He told Joshua that. Meditate on this. Mm-hmm. Meditate on it. Come on, Sister Tamicka.
I was just thinking, when you think on the things that are true, you're thinking on things that are authentic. Mm-hmm. They're real, and they line up with God's word. When you're thinking about things that are noble, they're not arrogant. It's not arrogant. I don't have any other words for that one. But when you think on things that are right, so many people want to be right, but and they don't ever want to be wrong. So you have to face the fact that, okay, maybe you did make a mistake. Maybe you did say the wrong thing. But every once in a while, you got to think on the things that are right. And when you're thinking about things that are pure, it's simply choosing to think on ethical and good, upright, honest things.
Right. Point
blank. When you think on those things that are lovely, this is a word that isn't used much, but it's, I got my little notes over here. It says, but it should be. To think lovely thoughts means to see the beautiful and stunning and the stunning things in life, and allow our minds to think upon those things. Think about those stunning things, those beautiful things, those lovely things.
Right. This is the day that the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. I'm still alive. You got to start. You got to speak up. Look here, Corona ain't mess with me. You know, you got to speak. I got my stimulus check. You got to think on some good stuff. I'm just being real. You know, you got to think on, I might not be where I want to be, but I thank God I'm not where I used to be. Right. I can remember when I was messed up. I can remember when I was broke, busted, and disgusted. I might be broke, but I ain't busted and disgusted anymore. You got to give God thanks and praise for every inch and every step that he's allowed you to overcome. Come on.
We're thinking on admirable. To be admired is something most people want but do we want to admire? Do we want admirable thoughts? Thoughts that are credible and distinguished and allow us to live in such a way that is commendable and excellent. The best of the best is what excellent is. When our thoughts are excellent, they are superb, exceptional, fabulous. Excellent thoughts lead us to live excellent lives and worthy of praise. What thoughts are worthy of praise? Thoughts about God, his ways, his plans, and his creation, his name. And just to name a few other, it's safe to say that when our thoughts are on him, that's a good time. So you can think on those things, everything that's lovely, that's pure, that's excellent, that's noble and true and of a good report. You have to change your thoughts. And because a lot of times, outside of those things that are true, noble, right, and pure, those other thoughts are toxic. And that's what's keeping us in that fearful state. Toxic thoughts.
And a lot of times when you start thinking of these things, it builds an image.
Yeah.
When you're thinking of the wrong things, it paints a picture. And sometimes that picture is not real. But you have made it real because it's your perception. You have to change what you think about and how you think about it. You have to change whatsoever things of good report. Think on these things. Pastor said, don't look at news all the time, because the news has been designed to report evil and bad stuff. That's what it is. And that stuff get in your spirit, and you find yourself dreaming about it, and you find it as a way of life. So we have to be careful what we allow to get into our spirit.
That's right.
You got to be real careful. And she said at the end, what's that thing you said? When your thoughts are on him, when your thoughts are on God, the creator, the one who has made us fearfully and wonderfully made, the one that has designed us, the one that has given us life. And I heard Pastor say, and it really hit me the other day, you sing the song, it's his breath in our lungs. So we pour out his praise. So when you think on God, simply, God is love.
Well, wait a minute. You just said something that just sparked something in me. You said we're fearfully and wonderfully made. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself fearfully and wonderfully made? Or do you see yourself as a failure? Or do you see yourself as I'm overweight, I'm too tall, I'm too short,
too skinny like me?
Anyway, but I'm just saying, how do you see yourself this morning? Because if you see yourself as fearfully and wonderfully made, you wouldn't be hiding or masquerading or disguising yourself to be something that God hadn't created.
And he said it like this. He said, we are the masterpiece of his creation. We were made in his image and in his likeness. Do you see yourself as that? I'm going to go back. Do you see yourself as the head and not the tail, the lender and not the borrower, above and not beneath? Do you see yourself as God's masterpiece? And if you don't, there's a reason. And the one reason is maybe I don't know him like I need to know him. One of my prayers, and Phyllis Washington, she would laugh at me. I would always be praying. I want to know him in the fellowship of his suffering, in the power of his resurrection. I want to know him. And I'd be laying up underneath that pew crying because I had to say, well, maybe I don't want to know him in the fellowship of his suffering. I want to know nothing else but Jesus Christ and him crucified. He has all the answers. And that goes back to a sound mind. A sound mind got to be ready to grab a hold of some stuff and answer it quickly. And what we have done is allow fear to come in to negate the positive answer because we haven't been thinking positive. We haven't been thinking. Our lives have been molded and shaped in iniquity. And iniquity will bring about fear. It'll bring it about. Because I'm feeling not complete. I'm feeling empty. I'm feeling a certain way that God did not design me to feel. And so now fear comes in. I was talking to Pastor on yesterday, and I hear a lot of people say, man, I'm good. I don't have no fear. I'm good, this, that, another. And let me tell you, I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how old you are. God dropped something in my spirit, and he said, it's funny. People say, well, people that can't swim say they're afraid of water. They say, I'm afraid of water. You're not afraid of water. You're afraid of drowning. You're afraid of drowning. And it's funny, you can take a grown man that can lift weights, can run and do a whole lot of stuff, but if he don't know how to swim, and you throw him in that water, fear gonna set in. But what's funny here is just let you know that fear, it doesn't care about how big and strong you are, how old you are, because you have a baby over there, a little kid over there swimming and navigating through that water like it ain't nothing. But you take a grown man that can pick that kid up and do whatever you want to do with that kid, and he can't get in that water. It ain't the fear of the water. It's the fear of being out of control, not knowing how to navigate through that water. And so I'm going to ask the question to us today. Is there some areas in your life you can identify that you are fearful in because you don't know how to navigate through it? Because we got to navigate through this life. God has given us a roadmap, and that's in his Bible. And there's some areas in our life that a baby can navigate better than we can because we have fear. And the reason being, no one ever taught me how to swim. I'm not afraid of water. I take a bath. I drink it. But I'm afraid of drowning because I have never been taught how. And let me tell you something. Any area of your life where you're not in control of, it opens a door for fear to step in. I'm going to say that again. If there's no control, that's why a lot of people, when they get on an airplane, they realize I'm in the hands of somebody else.
But if they if we keep operating in fear, we're drowning in fear.
We're drowning in fear. If I can drive a car real fast, I feel all right as long as I'm driving the car real fast. But it's hard for me to feel all right sitting in the passenger seat with somebody driving the car real fast because I'm not in control. What areas of your life have you allowed fear to come in because of lack of knowledge? He says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And if there's no knowledge in the area, fear can come in. What areas of your life are you drowning in? Because you don't know how to navigate it. What areas? What areas? God says, I have given to you all things pertaining to life and godliness. If I don't know how to navigate it, I got to put, the Bible says in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. Ain't that what it says?
That's what it says.
There's safety. There's a fear that's in most of us that we have when it comes to telling somebody, I don't know. Because it makes us feel weak. It makes us feel inadequate. And a lot of times it's a reason behind it because I told somebody else that I didn't know and they took advantage of me. Now I built a barrier. I built a wall. I built a wall. And now I'm struggling with that thing. Come on, Sister Tamicka.
That was good.
I'm feeling it because when you can take a man. Paul said you can speak with tongues as angels. You can do all kinds of things, but if you have not love, it profits you nothing. What are you saying, Brother James? If you don't have the love of God, God is love. Perfect love casts out fear. Mm-hmm. Why? Because fear has torment. Fear has a punishment connected to it. And God told us, I love you too much. If I wanted to punish you, I would have punished you a long time ago. I didn't punish you. I died for you. And then he goes on and says, what shall separate you from my love. Nakedness. And let me tell you something. No, and a lot of times to expose your fear, you got to get naked. You got to expose some weaknesses in your life. And as I expose these things, I am so vulnerable. Pastor sent me a message late last night, and I was just up, and it was just confirmation to some stuff, and it was talking about Elijah hiding in the cave, and I was already talking to Tamicka about David hiding in the cave of Adullam, and in this time, David felt abandoned. Fear will make you feel like no one else cares or is there. David felt abandoned by God. Now that's a whole nother level of fear. Whole nother level of fear. When you feel abandoned by God, let me tell you something. Most of us have been in a place where we feel like God was not there. God didn't hear our cry. God wasn't answering when we thought. But he told Daniel, I heard you the first time. So there's some areas in our life that are going to be painful for us to deal with when it comes to fear. But look at somebody and say, I'm not going to let that hold me back from becoming what God has called me to be. In order for me to do that, I got to cast down some stuff. That's a scripture.
Right.
You got that one? That one of the scriptures we talked about, casting down some stuff. Because what it does, fear brings about strongholds.
1 John 4:18.
1 John 4:18. Read that for me. What does it say?
There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love.
He that feareth is not made perfect in love. I mean, that's powerful right there. Our whole thing we want to do as children of God is be made perfect in love. Be made perfect in love.
Right.
And if you got fear, you can't be made perfect in love. You can't. So we got to, it says, but it casts it out.
Those broken and damaged thoughts. Go.
Cast them out. In another word, it expels them. It annihilates them. It destroys them. It destroys fear. Love destroys fear.
Right.
And that's why sometimes the devil wants you to walk around angry. The devil wants you to walk around with an attitude, wants you to walk around with a disposition that nobody cares and it's me against the world, because when it's like that, you're not loving. So you walking around fearful and afraid, and you can never receive what God has for you walking around fearful and afraid. And it goes on to tell us what I was going to say, I was going to and I want to get to 2 Corinthians 10:4, but I want to back up a little bit. We must remember, hear me y'all, all of us are subjected. What's the word I'm trying to say?
You said it right.
I said it right this time. Subjective to fear. We were born in sin. We were shapen in iniquity. And most of us build barriers around it. We dig around the root of it, but we don't never pull the root up. And what matters now is how long and how deep the hurt was, is how I'm going to deal with it. How am I going to face it? Some stuff you can't face alone. Some stuff you and your look. It's some stuff. It's some. Let's be transparent for a minute. There are some fears, some pains, some wounds, some scars, some hurts that me and her can't face alone. In the multitude of counselors, there's safety. And some say, well, I don't know if I don't want to go to pastor. Go to some professional help. Go to see a psychiatrist, a therapist. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about who helps you get healed.
Right.
It's about being healed. It's not about who helps you being made whole. It's about you being made whole. That should be your ultimate goal. And so it's some things we can't deal with alone. We can't talk with alone because the pains and the hurts are too deep.
And a mediator will help you see
come on, baby. Both
the
sides.
other, to see both sides. Sometimes you need a mediator, and God is our mediator.
Ultimately,
He's our ultimate mediator. But sometimes you need a physical person there to help you hear what the next person is saying. Because what happens when you try to fix it by yourself, sometimes you might create
more problems,
more fears. Yeah. Fear of, every time I talk to you about this, this what happens. Or every time I bring up this subject, there's a big fight. Or every time I see that person, it make me feel some kind of way on the inside. Right. But so that mediator helps us. Go ahead.
And this thing, it helps. Ultimately, the ultimate goal is to face my fears,
right,
to be made whole. I'm gonna say it again. The ultimate goal is to face by any means necessary, as long as it lines up with the will of God. I'm gonna say that. Now, I don't do nothing crazy, but long as it lines up with the will and the purpose of God. And I want you do not have to face your fears alone. I'm gonna say that again, because now let me be honest with you. Sometimes you have to get alone so God can reveal the way you need to be healed. He gives you steps, and because sometimes we're too busy listening to everybody else and we haven't listened to God.
Right.
So during this time of quarantine, take some time to listen to the voice of God. And that could be a fearful thing, because sometimes we don't want to hear what He got to say because we already know. So that's fearful. And sometimes we don't want to hear it because we're not sure if that's going to be.
You want to hear the truth.
You want to hear the truth. But the truth shall make you free. It's in His word, y'all. It's in His word. So remember that if we don't face our fears, it leads us to behavior that's not pleasing in God's sight. Mm-hmm. It could be damaging behavior. We can be barriers and walls that we never walk around free in. I want to reiterate this, that people say, well, I'm good. I don't need this on fear. But if there was no fear, why did God speak courage? If there was no anxiety, why did God speak peace?
Right.
If there was no weakness, why did God say my strength is made perfect in weakness? If weakness, insecurities, anxiety, all these things bring about an avenue of fear. Brings about an avenue of fear. And God is not exposing these avenues and exposing His fear for us to live in it. He's exposing His fear so we can deal with it.
Right.
And ultimately come to a transformation, to a change that we can walk up out of that. And as we get ready to digress and close, guys, it tells us, and you got to be real careful, because a lot of us have fought these fears by attacking our loved ones, attacking ourselves, closing down, shutting down, moving out the way, and saying, "Gonna be a." But let me tell you this right now. I hear this. Some of us saying, "I ain't coming back to church. I'm gonna look at church on the live stream because I ain't gotta face some folk." That ain't the answer. That's not the answer. He told Gideon to tear down an altar and build an altar. The first thing Noah did when he got off the ship, got off the boat, off the ark, he built an altar. The high priest had to go into the holies of holies to an altar. You don't fight this thing by isolation.
Right.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And let me tell you, the only way you're going to pull that thing down is you got to identify it. And a lot of times we've been pulling and tearing down the wrong thing. You got to pull and tear down the thing that has built an image in your mind. Mm-hmm. You got to pull it down. First, I got to recognize it. Then I got to pull it down. I got to grab a hold of it. And let me tell you, and that's where the pain sometimes is. I got to grab it and I got to pull it down. It says, for the weapon, casting down imagination, every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. And not only just bringing it down, but putting it into captivity. Now that's powerful right there.
Right.
The thing that's been holding me captive, the thing that has been keeping me from becoming, I'm going to put that thing in captivity. I'm going to lock it up, throw away the key. I'm going to put it under my feet, and I'm going to hold it into the obedience of Christ because I got to be obedient.
How you going to do that?
How I'm going to do it? I'm going to let my mind be transformed. I'm going to pull that thing down by casting down. And let me tell you something. I can't wait till the church open up. It's going to have to open up slowly because we're going to still be wise. But it's an altar that we got to get to. And the altar is a place of what? Dead things. It's some stuff in you that still cause you to fear that God has already killed. I'm going to say that again. It's some stuff in you that's causing you to fear and it's dead. Because the altar is the place of death. You got to get that thing to the altar. Whatever it is, whatever area that is, you got to get it to the altar. Because the altar is the place of death. I can be transformed at the altar. It says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of God so we can obtain grace and mercy in a time of need. Let me boldly. He died, ripped the curtain from top to bottom to give us access to be transformed. To give us access so we don't have to be afraid anymore. To give us access so we can become what God has called us to be. Look, let me tell you something. All of us in here, every last one of us got some areas of fear. Pastor and First Lady have laid out. You go back to Facebook and maybe even YouTube and pull some. I know it's on Facebook. Pull some of that stuff up. Pull some of the teachings and the illustrations that they have given us on fear. Look at them. Meditate on them. Meditate on them. He told Joshua, I think that was. He told him, he said, where's that at? He said, he told him to meditate on that word. Right? Well, I need to get it, baby. Right here.
Strong.
Right, he's telling him, so only be strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Turn not from the right or left. Follow the law. Don't let fear direct you. Fear has been controlling some of our lives, y'all. Don't let it direct you. He says, turn not from the right or to the left, that thou may prosper whatsoever thou go. He said, and the book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate on it day and night. Let me tell you something. You need to go back through and look and listen and read and study some of these teachings that Pastor and First Lady have given us on fear, and say, I'm exposing this thing this year. I'm going back to the theme now. I'm going to look at ministry through a 2020 vision, through a perfect lens. And the only way I can do that is in His Word.
Right.
Only way I can be transformed from faith to faith, from glory to glory, is in the Word of God. And it tells us we stand in need of a mediator sometimes, because sometimes I'm not understanding. And so when you go back and listen to what Pastor and First Lady have put out there for the last 30 days, meditate on it. That's the mediator sometimes. Because what it does, it reveals to you some areas.
Right.
As we get ready to go close out here today, God has therefore armed us against the spirit of fear. God has delivered us from the spirit of fear and has given us the spirit of power and of love and a sound mind. The spirit of power are of courage. I'm going to say it again. The spirit of power are the spirit of courage and resolution to encounter difficulties and dangers. Say it again. He's given us the spirit of power to encounter or to resolve difficulties and dangers. You got to face it. And you can't be fearful to face it, because on the other side of it is my destiny. And I can't let fear block me from my destiny. So, and it says he's giving us the spirit of love.
I had that right there. It said moving through fear.
Moving through fear. We're moving through it right now in the spirit of love. The spirit of love, which will carry us through the opposition we may meet. The spirit of love to God will set us above the fear of man. I'm going to say it again. The spirit of love will set us above the spirit of fear of man. Martin Luther King said, I'm not fearing any man, for my eyes have seen the glory of the Lord. When you done seen God face to face, I had a face-to-face encounter with God, you'll tell yourself, look here. Who?
Right.
Shall stand. If God be for me, who can be against me? So I ain't fearing no man. I'm moving through that thing. And then it goes on saying the spirit of, and all the hurt, it said all the hurt, then the spirit of a sound mind, a quietness of mind, a peaceful enjoyment of ourselves. I'm going to say that again. A quietness of mind, a sound mind, a quietness of mind. A lot of us can't even handle quietness.
And the only way you can have a quietness, a peacefulness, and say it again, what is it?
A quietness of mind and a peacefulness of oneself.
You have to sit down and be still for a second.
Be still and know that I'm God.
You got to know that he's God. But you have to sit down and listen to God. And there's a fear in sitting down and just listening to the voice of God. That was good.
And it says the peaceful enjoyment of ourselves. Do you enjoy you?
Or are you afraid of you?
Can you make yourself happy? I encourage myself in the Lord. Do you enjoy you? I won't deal with that too much. Do you enjoy? And it goes on, it says, by our own visualization, our interpretation, our imagination, we have to be sober. And we got to block out the outside noises that are not of God. He making me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth my soul. He leading me beside the still waters. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He anointeth my head with oil. I'm talking about my shepherd. I'm talking about the one who created me in his image and his likeness. The one who died for me. My shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And the spirit that we need is a power, love, and a sound mind. A mind that's ready to give an answer, a solid answer, through love. We are agape, y'all.
Right.
We are agape. Agape is perfect love. We love y'all. I hope that we were able to help someone today. If nothing else, I got to help myself. But we got to get to a place where we identify these fears.
Right.
Grab a hold to these fears. Pull them down and put them into captivity. What you saying? He already went to hell for us. Snatched the keys from the devil. Locked up everything. We the one that let it come back in. But he's given us power. He's anointed us already.
Amen, James. He ready to keep going.
I feel it. So as you go out today, meditate on God's word. Meditate on fear. And be safe. I got a new little thing. Be careful and prayerful. Be careful and prayerful. This is my prayer for all of y'all. Put your mask on. Get your hand sanitizer. We
got blessed with some
masks. And you see that on that corner right there, say Acts Ministries. Tamicka got the bling. Tamicka got bling on hers. We got the Acts Ministries mask.
Thank you, Angela Wesley.
Angela Wesley, a blessing. You know, so if you need masks, inbox and put your order in. But be careful and prayerful. If you know someone needs masks, I'm sending my son some masks in New York. You know, Candace, if you need masks down there, you making good money, send an order in. But we love y'all. We miss y'all. We're just so thankful that we're able to sit in for Pastor and First Lady on today. Give them some rest. And man,
hopefully they're taking that rest.
He needed after yesterday because he preached yesterday. I thought I was in a little red church for a minute. But God is good and he's worthy of all praise. Identify your fears, y'all.
And move through your fears. Move means you are in motion. You're going from one side. To go through means you're going from one side to the other.
Move through those fears so you can become what God called you to be. Look at somebody and tell them, I'm more than a conqueror through Christ that loves me. As we leave here today,
God bless you.
God bless you. We love you. Tune in on tomorrow. Like us, share us. Look here. Let me tell you something. It don't matter who's on. If Pastor and First Lady have delegated that's them. So we come to represent the ministry. We come to represent God. And we have been taught well. So once again, we thank you. We love you. Can't wait to see you. Call us, text us. We're praying for the Cranford family. We're praying for Sister Cynthia LaVale and the loss of a mother, Elder Hugh LaVale. We're praying for the Borgen Nelson family and the loss of a mother. Those that have loved ones sick, we're praying. This is a very difficult time, but perfect love cast out fear. We love you. Have a blessed day in Jesus' name.